All right, what is up, YouTube? As promised, I got y'all another Shane Koyczan reaction. This one is to Shoulders. All right, we're not gonna waste any time. Let's get started.
Like many, I love to look at the stars. I love the fact that ours is just one among many. What I love about astronomy is that our constellations tell a story. Our constellations were born from mythology. Mythology was our first attempt to understand the world in which we live. We put a god in everything, and those gods would give us our reasons. Why is the sky blue? Who chose blue? The gods. How come men have nipples? It's the will of the gods.
Okay, so one thing I'll say off the bat is this seems to be a combination of both animation and live footage, which in previous videos of Shane Koyczan, it's always been one or the other, right? The Crickets Have Arthritis, it was all live footage of him performing. In the case of Troll and To This Day, it was all animation, right? This seems to be a combination of both. Now, I don't want to act like the animation in Troll and To This Day were the same thing. To This Day had like picture drawing kind of animation going on, while To This Day was more like, it was a lot of things. It's kind of hard to explain, but it wasn't the same thing as the picture drawings that we're seeing here as well. So this seems to be a combination of everything: live footage, drawing animation, and then whatever else animation you saw in To This Day.
Why does this wine taste so good? There's a god in it. And for a while, there was not a single thing that the gods could not explain. We believed that their anger gave us lightning, their despair gave us rain. We whispered our desires to them, believing that their charity would sustain us. But those gods were just stories. But stories became a large part of how we learn. They burn lessons into our memories. They become a part of how we remember, and we can remember almost everything. Right down to that first unbearable bee sting, when we learn that this tiny blue marble we call the world has rules. Rule number 1, don't. With the bees,
I've never been stung by a bee before, but I hear it sucks pretty bad.
Angel of mercy will come forward to suck the poison from my healing buttocks.
And I really love the use of constellations with the drawings. That's really cool. It's like he's putting flesh on the bone. That's literally what it looks like.
Marvel we call the world has rules. Rule number 1, don't. With the bees, an unforgettable lesson brought to you by your memories. I remember that I grew up loving mythology. I remember the story of the Titan Atlas, who was also the god of astronomy, the original global positioning system, sending sailors safely home by telling them which constellations to keep starboard. He taught us about the stars. He did all this while he held up ours, our pale blue dot. But Atlas is caught between two different tellings of his story. In the first, he leads a rebellion against Olympus and is then sentenced to hold the heavens on his shoulders for eternity. In the second story, he is chosen to be the guardian of the pillars that hold up the earth and sky. I prefer the second story. It means that the world is not a punishment, but rather a responsibility. But how can just one be charged with such a burden? How can just one be responsible for all this? When I think of Atlas, I think of a single drop of rain. I think how unfair it would be to hold a single drop solely responsible for making the entire world clean again. I remember how my grandmother tried to explain our world to me. She told me a story. She said the ground and the sky, they love each other, but they don't have arms, so rain, that's just how they hold one another.
Yo!
Let's go home! Let's go home, ladies and gentlemen! Let's go home!
Oh my God. Oh man. The sky and the ground love each other. Rain is how they hold each other. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, nah. This guy's something else. His metaphors, man. It's really phenomenal how he can use words to craft such beautiful stories, man. And look, I'm someone who consumes a lot of poetry, being that, this is literally my job, reacting to poems and even crafting poems myself. Look, I ain't never seen somebody write such beautiful tales like your boy here, right? Shane Koyczan something else. He really is.
Ground and the sky, they love each other, but they don't have arms or rain. That's just how they hold one another. I began to see how the earth and sky need each other, but I wondered about us. In this perfect design, where do we fit? Which piece of the puzzle are we? Like constellations, I began to see a connection between dots. I numbered my thoughts and drew lines from one to the next. I began to see us in the context of a bigger picture, sharpening the blur slowly into focus. We are Atlas. I saw that this pale blue dot, this one world, is all we get. There will be no reset button, no new operating system or downloadable upgrade. We will not be allowed to trade in our old world for a new one with climate control or better fuel efficiency. We get one shot at this. Dismiss all reports of second chances, we get one. And yet we draw advances on our future as if we won't one day be held accountable. We will. We are. The human race runs toward a finish line, emblazoned with the words too far, and wonders, will we ever cross it?
Let's go home! Let's go home! Let's go home! We're getting out of here! Take your jackets off! Let's go home!
Will there ever come a time where we'll go too far with this climate change issue? You know what I'm saying? Oh, I did not know this was a climate change poem, but he's right. We are Atlas. We're the ones who hold the world together, essentially. We're the ones who hold the world, right? And if we fumble, the world falls apart. We are Atlas. I see what he was trying to say now. Oh, that's crazy. He started off this poem so slick, talking about mythology and legends and tales. And I was like, yo, this sounds real clean, but where's it going? When he got to Atlas, I thought, okay, maybe he's creating a narrative about Atlas. I didn't know he was connecting it back to us. Wow. And I think that's a really phenomenal way to start the poem off too, just because for some people, climate change is a myth in and of itself, right? He started off the poem by talking about myths that people used to believe that, but we now know they're not true and stuff like that. A lot of people view climate change as a myth. So that was a really great way to introduce the topic in and of itself, especially because it can be off-putting to people when you talk about climate change needing to be something that should be addressed. You know what I'm saying? If people don't think it's real, then a lot of times when they hear you talking about it, they're like, I don't want to hear none of that. You know what I'm saying? This is a phenomenal way to get them engrossed in the poem. So by the time they realize it's a climate change poem, they're already invested. They already watched half the video. They're going to have to finish the rest. I mean, they don't have to, but they already invested that much time. They're going to want to. So that's very clever. I'm actually going to consider doing that for future poems where I know it might be a hit or miss with the audience. Take my time introducing where I'm really going with it, So thank you, Shane. I'm going to use that later.
Have we already? We are faced with a seemingly impossible task, and it's okay to be afraid. Our dilemma stands before us like a mountain carved into a blockade. The sheer magnitude of our problem would be enough to dissuade anyone. How do we save the world? We lay in our beds curled into question marks, wondering what can we do? Where do we start? Is hope a glue crazy enough to hold us together while we're falling apart? The burden seems immense, but we can do this. We must take the martial arts approach to loving our planet, love as self-defense. Forget about the cost. There will be no other thing as worth saving as this. Nothing more important, nothing as precious. This is home. All of our stories start and end here. We are sheltered within an atmosphere that has given us every breath we will ever take. Every monument we will ever make has come from the flesh of our planet. Water like blood, skin like soil, bone like granite. It is not a myth. There is no debate. Facts are in. Fact is, there's never been any question. We are facing crisis. We dismiss the truth not because we can't accept it, but because having to commit ourselves to change is a scary prospect for anybody. The most alarming part of the statement "we are facing crisis" isn't the word crisis. It's the word we.
It's the word we. It's the word we. So stop looking at it like it's us versus them. It's, me versus you regarding our thoughts on climate change. Nah, it's we. This is a problem for us. All of us. You know what I'm saying? I really like the edition of the Blue Dot Times. Y'all saw the journal for the newspaper, right? The Blue Dot Times, because he was addressing the Earth as a blue dot in the universe. So that was really cool. Man, he was showing some like really phenomenal wonders of the world that would just be lost if, you know, the world goes to catastrophe with the weather and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these things we've come to love and appreciate about human innovation would just be gone for good. For good, my G. Like, oh man, crazy.
Our planet love as self-defense. Forget about the cost. There will be no other thing as worth saving as this. Nothing more important, nothing as precious. This is home. All of our stories start and end here. We are sheltered within an atmosphere that has given us every breath we will ever take. Every monument we will ever make has come from the flesh of our planet. Water like blood, skin like soil, bone like granite. It is...
He said water like blood, skin like soil, bone like granite. Come on, I know y'all heard that. Clean. The parallels he's making, he's pretty much saying that the earth is a body. The earth is a body. Like it's a living organism just like us, and we're able to keep it alive. Y'all see that? Y'all see what this man is doing? Oh, come on. I ain't never seen nothing like it. Now I gotta say, the music is beautiful. Now in his previous poems where there is an instrumental behind his words, the music doesn't tend to be as like happy-go-lucky, you know what I'm saying? But I really like that it is in this case because it catches you off guard when you realize that what he's discussing is a very solemn topic, right? The earth dying essentially is what he's talking about, but you don't catch that at first. At first, he's talking about, you know, human innovation with storytelling, as well as, you know, the beauty of myths and things like that. So it actually does start happy-go-lucky until you realize what he's actually talking about. So I think that was a good choice of instrumental to really hide the turn that would show up at the halfway mark of the poem. Let's keep going.
It is not a myth. There is no debate. Facts are in, fact is, there's never been any question. We are facing crisis. We dismiss the truth not because we can't accept it, but because having to commit ourselves to change is a scary prospect for anybody. The most alarming part of the statement "we are facing crisis" isn't the word crisis, it's the word we, because those two letters take responsibility away from one and rest it squarely on the shoulders of everybody. We are Atlas now, but our strength will come from finding a way to share in shouldering the responsibility of turning the impossible into somehow we will do this. We can do this. We can dismiss apathy. We can reject uncertainty. We can be the new chapter in our story. We will not see change immediately. We must act in faith. As the hour hand grips the minute hand and they land on the 11th hour, we must believe like the seed that change is possible. The seed never sees the flower. It grows knowing that it must become more than what it was. It changes because in growth all of its potential can be unlocked. Change is like rain, it starts with a single drop. Just one, like our pale blue dot. Caught in an endless waltz called gravity, we circle the sun wondering who, if anyone, left the light on. We are constellations drawn upon the earth. We are connected to one another. We are bound. We must behave as the arms that connect the ground to the sky. We must try to be more like the rain. Our stories may differ. Our goal is the same. How do we save our pale blue dot? We act as the rain, realizing that each individual drop is as equal and important as any. We act as one. Now we are many.
That was clean. Oh man, which do I like more, this or Troll? To this day, it's still #1 for me. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. That's probably due to sentimental value, because that was the first poem I ever saw from Shane, and it was when I was very young and being pretty harshly bullied. You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah, but this, do I like this more than Troll? It's close. Hold on. Let me really think about this. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Troll or this? Or do you think this is even better than To This Day? Let me know. I'm kind of curious, right? Ah, man, this was something else, y'all. I really hope y'all take this with you. And if those of you were like massive skeptics of climate change, you think it's some, government conspiracy or some ploy to get money out of you or something like that, like, feel free to mention that in the comment section too. Just nothing hateful. Like, don't spread hate towards people who don't believe in it or people who do. But yeah, I think this is going to spark some really awesome conversation. I mean, I'm sure it has. This thing was posted years ago. Yeah, 8 years ago. So there's no telling what came out of it. But man, this was beautiful. Whether you agree with the sentiment of the poem or not, you have to appreciate how well written it was and how good the animation was, how beautiful the music was, all of it, just well done. And it made me think of this quote that goes something like this: when the last river has dried up and the last tree has been cut down, then man will know that he cannot eat money. I really let that sink in. Then man will know that he cannot eat money. By the way, if you know of any kind of initiative that we can donate to or something like that regarding clean energy and removal of pollution, let us know. Make sure to comment it below or something like that, and I might pin the comment. All right. Okay. Bye for real this time. Deuces.